check given, 'cause I'm working for a living.
Christine Lyseng is our superstar in studio today. Really cool jobs every Wednesday morning. Christine is the supervisor of the 911 dispatch center with the Edmonton Police Service at the Police Communications Branch, a former 911 operator. You must, in your line of work and in your 15 years of experience, have had some very heart-wrenching situations. I would imagine there have been some very rewarding scenarios as well, where you've been able to help. Your whole facial expression just changed when I said there must have been some rewarding scenarios.
Yes.
I'd like to focus on those. What are some of the stories that have stuck with you through the years?
Edmonton 911, police, fire, ambulance.
Yeah, well, you can be having the worst day, the worst week, worst month. And if you get a call from a lady that's in labor and that baby's delivered while you're still on the line, those first breaths and those first cries can keep you floating for days. And I was fortunate enough to have 2 of those calls in the same month. And one came at a very, very good time because I'd had a number of bad calls. And when you hear this little baby cry and you hear the people in the background in the home just rise up a cheer of elation, you can't help but feel the energy that's coming through, and it's amazing.
Is it hard to hang up on those calls?
Oh, you don't want to hang up.
You want to go get a bottle of champagne and join them with cigars.
Exactly.
There must be situations where you feel somewhat helpless.
There's nothing more satisfying than hearing that, the boys in blue arrived within a matter of minutes because they've picked up on the urgency, and they're there for the child, or they're there for the person that's suffering the domestic situation.
How many calls would you estimate that Edmonton's 911 dispatch or call center would receive in a day?
We are averaging anywhere between 1,000 to 1,200 calls a day.
1,200 a day. What's the most odd or unusual call you've ever received in your career?
The most odd, well, there's a couple. I had a call from a lady that wanted to know what to do. She was trying to cook a turkey dinner for Christmas, and she kept blowing fuses. So she needed to know what to do. To
some people, that would be a huge emergency.
That's an emergency. You got to get the turkey on the table. The family are on their way.
This listener wants to know about maybe a couple of examples of things that Edmontonians should not dial 911 for. I imagine blown fuses, cooking turkeys is one of them.
Right. We average, if we're averaging approximately 1,000 to 1,200 calls a day into 911, a little over half of them are non-emergency calls. Maybe a train crossing is down too long and they can't get across, or their pizza hasn't been delivered. We've had people do that. They want us to, call the pizza company.
How do you handle a call like that?
And we just tell them that's not an emergency.
Because it ties up a 911 line, doesn't it?
It does.
In closing, we see this in the movies all the time. The person that calls 911 hinting at something, but they can't say it. Mm-hmm. Because there's an alleged offender in the room. There's something going on.
Right.
How do you identify those ones? Have you ever had a call like that?
I have, as a matter of fact, yes. A number of years ago when I was new on the job, I received a call from a man who was speaking to me as if I was a family member or his mom, and he was telling me that he was going to be late for Christmas dinner. And when I questioned him and I said, "Sir, do you realize you've dialed into a life and death emergency line?" His response was, "Oh, yes. I realized, yeah, I know, and I'm very, very sorry." And fortunately, he was calling from a landline. I said, "Okay, sir, is there someone there that you are not able to speak freely around?" And he said, "Yep, absolutely, that's correct, and I'm really sorry I'm not going to make it."
Wow.
I confirmed his address. I forwarded it on to the evaluator and explained the situation, and we had cars there within a matter of minutes.
And he was okay?
He was okay, yeah. There was a gentleman there from the Max that had recently been released, and was there to settle a score.
Christine Lyseng, that is why you have a really cool job.